Hey there, fellowship. Welcome to this week's episode. Before we get going, have you heard about Anchor by Spotify? Well, if you have an idea for a podcast and an audience that you think will listen, Anchor by Spotify is the right choice. You can record, you can edit, and you can distribute your podcast to all the major platforms all on your phone or your computer. Everything you need in one place. The Anchor app or Anchor.fm. So go to those places right now. Record your voice. We want to hear it. And welcome to this episode of the Pretty Neat Podcast. It's time for the Pretty Neat Podcast.
Let's acknowledge what potentially could happen today. And if it doesn't happen today, it seems like it will certainly happen like Thursday or Friday. And it's that LeBron James is going to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the all-time scoring record. Now, let's add some context. LeBron James, I believe, is 9th all-time in three-pointers made, which is pretty impressive. Kareem made exactly 1, which makes his record pretty impressive. Now, LeBron has played 150 less games than Kareem did. So I think that kind of evens it out. Thursday night against the Bucks. Yeah, and then my younger brother and I got tickets to go next Wednesday when they play the Pelicans.
Nice.
I have not seen him in person yet, so I'm pretty excited for that.
Oh, yeah, this is cool. He needs 36 points projected to do it in 2 games. Is that right?
Although he could put 40 on the Pelicans tonight, so we'll see.
Yeah.
No.
Do it in 1.
No. Sorry, they're playing Oklahoma City tonight.
But you don't think this will happen tonight?
It could.
It could.
No shit. Wow. But they think it will happen on Friday. What do you know?
Jesus.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. Thursday, the 9th, it seems
How much longer do you think LeBron plays?
Well, he has 2 years left on this contract. After this year, he signed a 2-year extension. Okay. Wait, it might be 3 years. He might have tacked 2 years onto the one he had left. Let me see.
Nice.
It runs through 24-25. So this is 22-23, 23-24, and 20. Yeah, so 2 more years after this one.
Nice. I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's pretty cool when that happens. When did Kareem set that record?
When?
Yeah, when did he retire?
1984, before LeBron James was born.
No shit.
Yeah. And of course, we talked some time back that Alex Ovechkin is on track to pass Wayne Gretzky, which is another stat that didn't seem like it in total goals or points. Which is it?
He's on track to pass him in goals. Nobody will catch Gretzky in points.
Right. But even the goals one seems
outlandish.
And the LeBron points one is nuts. So I was looking at the top 50 all-time scorers in NBA history, and like 12 of them were Lakers at one point, which is pretty crazy. And I mean, it's just it's 2 records that really you can't say enough about, regardless of what you think about each individual. I don't really know if people don't like Ovechkin, but LeBron has his share of detractors, and that's fine. But
that's fucking crazy. That
is a fuckload of points, and the fact that he's doing it the way he's doing it with like showing no signs of slowing down is pretty impressive.
Speaking of Gretzky, did you catch the end of the Rangers Calgary game last night? Fuck. No. Oh, man, it was so good. Ended 1 minute into overtime. Lafreniere got it. It was an awesome goal.
Okay.
That's random.
I haven't watched hockey in a really long time. Circumstance popped up and the game's on. I'm watching it. It was awesome.
Now, of course, the other big sporting event.
You mean the reason why Last of Us is on Friday instead of Sunday this week?
Is that true? So I haven't started it yet. And also, I attempted to purchase. So I played the first half of The Last of Us Part 1.
Again or
No.
ever?
Like in my whole life, that's what I've played.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe slightly more. I did not finish it.
Okay.
Although I'm pretty sure I know how it ends. Anyway, I tried to buy the PlayStation 5 version today, and this is going to shock you. It is sold out everywhere. So,
like, you tried to buy a hard copy, not digital?
Yeah. I don't do digital unless I absolutely have to.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
No, the other big sporting event, Chiefs Eagles.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, who do you have?
Chiefs.
Eagles.
Okay.
Yeah. Why the Eagles?
This is basically a pick 'em. You can get the Chiefs at plus 105, which is the way to bet it if you're going to bet it. Good old Patty Mahomes, not even on the Kansas City injury report, so that's a good sign. I think they get it done.
You're going Chiefs there?
Yes.
Chiefs. I'm going Chiefs because the Reds are always deadly. Zing for all of our listeners who listened to our band 15 years ago.
Was that a Manchester United reference?
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's bring all the Manchester fans on board. I'm fine with that. Yes.
Both of them. Shout out to Manchester.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Pretty Neat Podcast, everybody. I'm one of your three hosts. My name's Aaron. With me, as always, Ryan and Dom. It's lovely to see you. It's been 2 weeks since we've talked about UFC and other pretty neat stuff, like The Last of Us.
I have not started watching it yet, but I'm going to.
You have to catch up.
I know.
You're 4 episodes behind now.
That's okay.
Binge it, call out sick from school. Do it, please.
I did that last Friday.
Yeah, but you went to Disneyland.
Not officially.
I mean, you were sick and went to Disneyland in your mind.
Here's the thing. So we had plans to go, and then I was sick, and we were not going to go. And then about 15 minutes before we would have had to be like, okay, we're definitely not going, I was like, fuck it, let's go. And I'm glad we did because I felt fine.
So, funny thing you bring up, allegedly going to Disneyland. You had also made an alleged comment that one of the new rides that just debuted, Mickey's Runaway Train, was definitely top 2 at the parks.
Yes.
And maybe the best ride at Disneyland.
I think I have backed off of the best, but I will strongly maintain it's top 2. I also say that knowing several people hate it.
So
Really?
My wife's at Disneyland right now.
What does she think?
And she said, hey, do you want to see a video of us on the ride? Yes. And I just replied back. I said, hey, question, Rise or Mickey? She said, LOL, that's crazy. She said, it's no contest. It's not even top 5 in Disneyland or California Adventure.
Wow.
She said it may be top 5 for quote unquote kiddie rides.
Oh, I disagree strongly, but that's okay.
She said, if you compare it to rides that more adults would go on, it's older kid ride. She said it's a revelation, but not compared to Rise. She'd still rather go on Guardians, Indiana Jones, Toy Story, etc.
Okay, so the only comparable ride to it is Indiana Jones.
Okay.
In that, or Rise of the Resistance. Because those are the only rides I can think of off the top of my head. And I suppose I could, you know what? I suppose you could put Radiator Springs Racers in this category.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ratatouille ride at Disney World for sure. But that's about it, where you are in the world of the story being told.
Yeah.
So like I would argue that Guardians of the Galaxy at California Adventure, that the goal of that ride is not to put you in the middle of the Guardians of the Galaxy, where Rise of the Resistance is to put you in the middle of a scene from Star Wars. Okay.
Yeah.
So with that lens and what they're able to achieve from a technical standpoint on Mickey, and if you've seen any of the short cartoons that it is based on, it is so much higher than outside the top 5, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
From a technical standpoint, that ride is incredible. And I don't care what anyone says. I understand it is not the most like, holy shit, that was so much fun, like thrilling experience. But from a sheer technological standpoint, it's like a marvel.
Yeah. Are you exposed to that cartoon through your child?
No, I didn't even know it existed until so in Florida, right next to their Runaway Railway, is a theater where they show a short Mickey Mouse cartoon.
Well, that
we went in
Runaway
there
Railway is gone now.
because Florida in June is a terrible place to be. So we went inside and watched it, and then we rode the ride, and I was like, oh, I get it. And then that night, I read all about that series of cartoons. Aaron, search.
Yeah.
Is it Paul Ruddish? Is that his name? Paul Ruddish Mickey Mouse. Yeah. Rudish. And then go to images.
I can't just do Paul Rudd Mickey Mouse.
Ruddish. Rudish.
Is that the artist?
Yes.
Ah, yes.
Okay. So like right there, that third one over on the top, that art style is like the new Mickey Mouse art style. I have a theory on this. And it's that the Mickey Mouse trademark is expiring, and so they had to do like a slightly different version of it, but that's not really the point. That art style, that sort of like retro modern look is what these new shorts are built on. And yes, I have seen them with my child and she likes them. Yeah. But the whole ride is like being in one of those cartoons. It's wild. So I suppose without that context, maybe the ride is just okay, but with that context, if you watch like 4 or 5 of those shorts, they're only like 4 or 5 minutes long. It makes the ride that much more impressive, I think.
This strikes me as like a when in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when they plow the car through into Toontown.
Yeah,
like that's what I imagine it being like.
Well, it is right next to Roger Rabbit, so you're not wrong. In that sense, I just think this is pushing what theme park ride technology is going to be, and things like honestly, like roller coasters are kind of going away, if that makes sense. Not that your wife gave roller coasters as an example, but something like Rise of the Resistance fits everything I'm saying too. That's the future, and Rise is just as impressive from a technical standpoint, don't get me wrong. But Mickey and Minnie is right there with that lens. Again, is it the most thrilling thing? No. But what they're able to achieve from a technology and like engineering and artwork standpoint is like nothing short of amazing. It's basically in 3D without 3D glasses.
It's like there's with the trackless technology and the projection, there's just so much you can change to it as well.
Yeah.
Seasonally, you can update it. You can adjust this, turn that. Oh, we want them to do this screen. Install a big 3D element over here and make the car turn that way. It really can make the rides evolve faster, which could be problematic because then you lose the diehards. Like, I love Space Mountain because it's Space Mountain every time. Or Hyperspace Mountain. Like, I don't want it to change every time I go on it. Not saying that it will, but
yeah,
hey, it seems cool.
Ryan, what do you think about everything I just said?
I mean, you're entitled to your opinion.
Okay.
I think you hyped it up when you first went on it.
Yeah.
So that's why I had to inquire.
But I hyped it up after I went to Florida too.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would be curious after you get a chance to ride it to see what you think.
Okay.
I'm very
I think
curious.
you'll land somewhere in the middle.
If there's one thing that I've learned about myself, it's that I don't know how to form my own opinions. I just trust the two of yours combined. So I need Ryan.
Except about Adrian Yanez.
I think Adrian Yanez is great. Is that how we bring this back around to MMA for a recap?
Probably so.
Okay.
No, coincidentally enough, he was also on a recent podcast with another MMA analyst that I think we all frequent. On a Luke Thomas live chat. He had an interview
Adrian Yanez was?
Adrian Yanez.
Nice.
Because he is notoriously considers himself like a day one fan of that MMA podcast,
Oh, really?
and it was interesting. He's a fairly intelligent gentleman.
I hope Derek Lewis retires, fellas.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, I think that's a big step for you.
It is. Here's a watch and some peanuts.
Thanks, dude. I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
That's a
I'm a
big
recovering. I'm a recovering hot ballaholic. What
Yeah,
can I
you're
say?
a recovering Lewisaholic or something.
step. And I think he's now 38,
Mm-hmm.
and how many has he lost now?
3 and 4 out of 5.
3 and 4 out of 5.
Yeah, so he lost to Cyril Gahn August of 2021 for the interim belt. Beat
Mhm.
Chris Daukaus, which I don't remember, but it happened.
And Chris Daukaus isn't in the UFC anymore.
Lost to Tai Tuivasa, lost to Pavlovich, and lost to Spivac, and it was not particularly competitive in any of those. And he had that weird illness that caused was that the Pavlovich one to be delayed?
Yeah,
No,
this one.
it was this one.
Yeah, it was this one.
It
Oh,
was this
Spivac.
fight. This fight got rebooked
Mm-hmm.
okay.
because he
Yep.
had that weird issue during fight week, right?
Mhm.
And they wouldn't let him fight.
Yeah. It was night of.
Yeah, it was like 2 hours before.
Yeah.
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 That's
Freaking
right. I'm underselling it here.
Yeah, that was a wild night. How do you feel about Spivac though now?
I don't think we can tell anything from this.
I
when-
don't either.
when-
Exactly.
Did you guys watch the fight?
Mm-hmm.
I watched it the next morning.
Okay, so it's the only fight on the whole card that I saw, and I happened to turn my TV on like as it was getting started. And I had a few drinks, and I had not had any alcohol in like 5 weeks. So
Oh boy.
I was only
Hey.
half awake, and yes, I'm still on carnivore, no big deal.
Okay.
And the point where Derek Lewis kept getting up and Spivac just kind of followed him and then threw him back on the ground like what felt like 19 times in a row was kind of like, okay, this guy has no business in there. And I actually wouldn't be surprised if they cut him.
Cut Derek Lewis. I
Mhm.
don't think they'll cut Derek Lewis, but he's not going to be a main event fighter anymore.
How could he be?
No.
No. There's no way.
Is he even featured prelims?
He could
Uh,
be featured prelims because
yeah.
he's a
Okay.
heavyweight.
Yeah, and he's got
On
a
a
name.
on a fight night, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Even,
could move-
even a numbered event.
And you could move him up on a card if it's in Texas, because he would draw a ticket. He would draw tickets.
Yeah, I don't think that's a real thing, but okay.
I do. Yeah, he's got
Still?
love here. He's got love here. Yeah. Heck yeah. You rescue people from a fucking hurricane, you got fans for life. I think. But dude, he looked so bad. He had nothing on the ground.
Was it which of his 3 total missed strikes made you think he looked bad?
The first one, and then everyone that followed it.
Yikes.
And then both of the other ones, yeah.
Yeah,
He
man.
was,
I mean,
0 for 3.
they were just such big whiffs. Such big whiffs. Devin Clark was a little bit of a surprise. I thought Dawoon Jung would get that done.
Devin
So-
Clark, welcome to my MMA
R&B group.
1990s R&B boy band.
Devin.
Fucking knew it. Marcin Tybura bleed Blagoy Ivanov, which was kind of expected. Way to go, Marcin. Duho Choi, a draw against Kyle Nelson, believe it or not.
But it was a draw because he got a point taken away in the
Mhm.
3rd round.
Yeah.
And I don't even know where 2 of the 3 judges are giving Kyle Nelson one of those rounds because I did watch that fight. I watched up until the conclusion of Marcin Tybura and Blagoy, and then I went to sleep and I watched the other 2 the following day.
Yeah.
Duho Choi looked okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a revelation. They made a big deal about the Korean Zombie somewhat mentoring him and him being part of the camp, and they put him through this rigorous, training to make sure that he was fight ready. And he looked composed, but maybe overly composed. At least that was my opinion of it.
Was he like too reserved in that composure?
Remember Duho Choi right? He had that skid of 3 fights that he lost, but I mean, he was only fighting like top tier featherweights at the time. But he was an action fighter. You loved watching him fight. It wasn't that exciting.
Yeah. His fight with Cub Swanson is a fight of the year in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a
Okay,
warrior.
I have something to say that isn't about these fights. I apologize.
Say
So LeBron James, the Lakers just tipped off. He has not scored yet. LeBron is wearing a headband, which we haven't seen much from him. Kareem is there with a awesome Adidas jacket that says Captain and 33 on it.
Cool.
Yeah, so Kareem played 100 and after today 50 more games than LeBron and averaged 3 points less per game than him. That's wild. LeBron has a headband on, which we haven't seen for some time, and he has pink shoes, which I'm a fan of. The 4, including LeBron, of the 5 Lakers starters have headbands on, which I can't imagine they didn't plan. And actually, all of their shoes have some shade of pink, it looks like. The only guy without a headband is my guy Rui Hachimura, who they just traded for, who I really like I've liked since he was at Gonzaga. So I'm trying to figure out what this. Do all of their shoes have pink? Okay, Patrick Beverley's don't. Why are they wearing pink shoes?
LeBron James debuts unreleased shoes in Lakers win January 21st, 2023. Are these them, Dom?
No, but those no, they're pink. But those are he has 2 like signature models of shoe.
Huh. Meh.
Anyway, the headband is an interesting look. I support it. That goes back to his Miami in his early days. I bet he's nervous, right? You got to figure, like maybe when he does break the record, it'll be like a layup or something. But
imagine it'll probably be similar to how Volkanovski will feel if he wins on Saturday.
Nope, I think the LeBron thing is bigger.
Yeah, 40 years. That's and it's gonna take another 80 to fucking break it.
Well, there's nobody active even close. Kevin Durant is like 60% of the way there, and he's already in his I think he's like 33 or 34, so it's not going to happen for him.
Yeah, well, back to the fights.
Sorry, just an aside.
What other fights from the prelims here stood out to either of y'all, aside from name champion Adam Fuggett?
Fugit? Yeah. So Ansel Jubilee is the first Indian fighter in the UFC, and he beat a gentleman from Indonesia who was very aggressive. But Ansel had a really good ground game. That was fun to watch.
Nice.
Stopped him with elbows.
Dude, he was impressive. Rinya Nakamura knocking out Toshiomi Kazama.
That was the last fight I saw before I fell asleep.
Nakamura apparently comes from a martial arts family, and dude, he was lightning.
Yep.
On the feet.
And composed against Toshiomi, who was like
he was swinging wild.
Yeah.
He was swinging wild, but the problem was he needed to be composed so that he could find the openings, and he first hit him with the right, and it didn't put Kazama out, and the fight continued for a few more seconds, and then he opened up and just hit him with this lightning quick left, and he was out and got another straight to the dome on the ground.
Yep. Yeah. This picture on ESPN of his highlight there makes him look like Rufio from Hook.
That's a good call, man. Fucking Rufio.
Rufio.
Oh.
And he took a clean shot when he was down too.
Yeah. So clean. Clean. It was Herb Dean-esque.
Didn't that wouldn't that used to be called a shotgun punch? Or is that specifically where you push their leg out of the way and dive forward, similar to the H-bomb?
I don't actually know.
Because I remember it being referred to as a shotgun punch when somebody was on the ground and you dive in fist first. Anyway, yeah. I didn't watch. No, I don't. Oh, yeah. The Hyung Sung Park submission before that. But the Jung Park, the Iron Turtle before that. He's the Iron Turtle is slowly becoming the backbone of the PNP.
You're funny. But props for Jin Young Park. The Iron Turtle was dominant.
That's a really good nickname. I really like that.
And we've discussed that in the past.
Yeah.
And Dennis Tululin is no joke either. Like that was a solid contest, in my opinion.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, I don't think he was a scrub.
No.
I don't think he was a scrub.
This was a genuine contest. And then Tatsuro Taira and Jesus Aguilar. That was a round 1 triangle choke.
Yeah, the prelims were fire.
Mm-hmm.
The main card was okay.
Well, the main card was like 2 to 3 a.m.
Something like that. How are we going to remember Derek Lewis?
He's got the most knockouts in the heavyweight division.
I guess that's going to be it, right? Yeah, most knockouts in the UFC and heavyweight division.
Okay.
For now.
For now. Who would beat him? Anybody on the roster currently that would beat that total for knockouts?
At heavyweight?
They just don't fight that much.
I know.
Except Derek Lewis, who's fought a lot. But otherwise.
And he either loses by finish or wins by finish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to look at the MMA world. No, I'm just going to look at the UFC rankings to look at the top 15 heavyweights. Although I don't know that the heavyweight that's most likely to break Derek Lewis's record is currently in the top 15.
What about Ty?
I don't know how much he's going to end up fighting.
What about Sergey Pavlovich? He seems to be knocking people out.
He might be at the top for me, actually. Sergey might be at the top. And I mean, Curtis decisions people, Aspinall submits people, Jairzinho wrestles, but he's a kickboxer.
Jairzinho does not wrestle.
That's right. He's a kickboxer. He might actually be able to pick that up. Chris Dawkins is no longer in the UFC, but his little brother is. Alexander Romanov, Blagoy's too old. Jailton Almeida's a submission guy. Yeah. Boy, Bam Bam might actually be up there, and Jairzinho might be the only two if they stick around that I'm looking at.
Jairzinho is not going to break that record.
Probably not. He probably won't fight long enough. Anyway. Well, guys, I enjoyed catching up on the fights with y'all, but this weekend on February 11th, live from the RAC Arena in Perth, Australia, is UFC 284, and we have to make some picks.
And now it's time for the Pretty Neat Podcast picks.
Woo! All right, Saturday.
Do we need to construct a pretty neat parlay today?
We can take it under consideration.
I believe so.
I think it's worth thinking about.
Yeah, I do too.
It has to be unanimous, right? Otherwise, it's not a pretty neat parlay.
I don't have any fights pre-selected like I did last time, so
I have a couple of pre-selected myself, but we'll.
I think we should keep it to a 3-fight parlay.
A 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nice. I brought up, for those who are listening at home while we look at our picks, we're looking at UFC 284 on ESPN.com for our fight information. I also have open bestfightodds.com because they show the odds for multiple books and props. So we can look that up and throw those at you as well, in case you actually are foolish enough to take our betting advice.
Foolish. Mortal.
Flee.
You could just give the money away too.
Yeah,
that would be the same outcome.
That's the same outcome. And if you decide to do that, give your money to theprettyneatpodcast.com.
That's right.
Go there, buy shirts, buy UFC trading cards, or click the mailbag, become a sponsor. We want to sponsor your shit. Come on, let's go. Are any of the early prelims jumping out at any of you? Do you want to start with any of these if they're enticing you?
For a parlay?
For anything. just throwing UFC 284 at the wall.
I like Luke Boonmi.
I do too.
She's a good kickboxer. In her last fight, I just have to say, which is going to contradict her to the praise I just gave her.
Mm-hmm.
She was not exciting. She was very good at doing a tie trip, and then she would just lay on the other person and not really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, on one hand, don't do that. But on the other hand, please keep it standing and throw some of those awesome kicks.
Yep. I like Loma too. She does have brutal kicks, and she's pretty aggressive normally. Like you just said, she was too offish last time. Yeah. What about Elise Reed? If I recall correctly, is Elise Reed not a wrestler?
I couldn't tell you really much about Elise Reed.
It says striker.
Okay. Okay,
and
yeah.
She has so
kickside martial
in the
arts,
UFC,
yes.
she lost to Sajara Eubanks, beat is it Corey McKenna? Is her first name Corey? Yep.
Yeah.
Lost to Sam Hughes and beat Melissa Martinez.
Yeah. Yeah, you are right, striker. If it's striker on striker, I lean Luma myself. What's the reach? Where's their reach? 60, okay, there's an 1.5 inch reach from it. You know what? I trust Loma's speed, and she moves forward. I think Loma will press this, and the only way I think she loses is if she gets countered. And it looks bad.
I don't really see her losing, to be quite honest, especially if Elise Reed is also a striker.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I'm going to be picking heavy on a lot of local fighters because I am not a fan of people traveling to Australia and then being super competitive.
What do you mean local fighters, like in the United States?
No. This fight is in Perth. So I'm going to be picking a lot of Aussies and New Zealand.
Oh, I see what you mean. Got it.
Yeah.
I get that.
That's a long way to travel.
Yes.
I get
Some
that.
would say the longest way.
The longest possible
It's all
way.
the way over there. Yeah.
Yeah. Loma, if she got this done, would probably be by UD, if I had to guess.
I
could even
don't
see a
remember
split.
specifically, but I think she wins primarily by decision, right?
Yeah. Yeah. She's at least her last 5 or 6. Yeah. The two preceding fights to that, Shake Young, Blake Builder, I'm not too familiar with those two outside of Shane Young, who I recall from City Kickboxing, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
I think City Kickboxing is going to have a good night, fellas.
Yeah, we thought that last time.
No, last time we said City Kickboxing might get swept. Last
you know
time
what? That is true. Yes,
that was
you
when
are
Izzy
correct.
fought, and
Yeah.
we were like, yeah, they might get clean. I have a good feeling.
We have not talked about so many of the fight announcements and tough. We got to close with that.
Yeah.
So Shane Young got the fuck kicked out of him in his last fight by O Morales, whose first name I don't know. I apologize. Omar Morales. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Like a legitimate nasty head kick. He has lost twice in a row. We have not seen him since Stipe Francis 2, which was March 2021. So damn near 2 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so welcome back, Shane Young.
Yeah. I hope this works out for him. I bet if you looked up, kind of to Ryan's point, it does seem like when they go on location to France or England or whatever, no, sorry, France is in England. When they go to Europe, which is also over there.
Did you just say France is in England?
Well, they're connected.
Isn't Europe in England too?
Europe is part of England.
Okay, got it. I figured this out. That's where EU comes from. No, that's UAE. Sorry. I get backwards.
There is like a 0% chance this person listens to this podcast. So I'm going to tell you guys this story. So a couple of years ago, I worked summer school, and there were two. I was talking to someone who works at one of our middle schools, and she's from England, like from England. And the other person was from America. But she was telling me that she works with the woman who is from England, works with a German lady and a Russian lady. And the American lady goes, yeah, we call them the European Union. And I was like, oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. Did they not realize Russia's not
She
Europe?
she didn't realize Russia's in Europe and that England very famously left the European Union years ago. So
So they were wrong about both countries.
she was wrong about 66% of them. Yeah, it was very funny.
That's funny.
Anyway, when they go on location to these places, it does seem like the hometown fighter. Like, I would be willing to bet they win more than half the time, although I guess I could be wrong, but it seems like they tend to have an advantage. And I think sometimes they sort of stack it that way to keep the crowd invested. Now, of course, they're going to make Volkanovski fight Islam Makhachev, so the fuck do I know? But
Yeah.
How many people can that arena fit? I'm curious.
I'd say probably 35, 40,000.
35 or 40,000.
35, 40.
Is it outdoors?
I'm totally speculating here. I'm not going off of any.
I feel like it has to be more. I
Where-
really do.
where,
No, indoor arenas are very rarely that big. Okay,
It's
so
the
for
RAC.
basketball, it seats 15,000. For rock
Okay.
concerts, 15,000.
How
Okay.
are they doing
It
that?
does have a retractable roof.
Okay, that doesn't
That's
make
cool.
fucking sense to me. Because, like, I think about when Holm fought Rousey in Melbourne, Australia. That was friggin' 50,000 people were
No,
there.
it was no, it wasn't.
What was the gate for that? Rousey, Holm, live attendance.
Okay, that was 193 at Etihad Stadium in Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah. Crowd of 56,214
I call bullshit.
inside the arena. MMA Weekly, MMA Mania, 55,700 Washington Post.
It's not called the Etihad Stadium anymore, is it? No, it's called Marvel
55,000.
Stadium now.
That's
Interesting.
friggin' crazy. So, yeah, it was up there. I'm surprised that this isn't getting that many just because of the pound for pound
Oh
implications.
yeah, look at that. I was wrong. 47. Wow. Okay.
Just the pound for pound implications makes this feel like a much bigger fight.
I don't think so.
Really?
No.
And it's
We'll
hometown. Home
Well,
and Rousey.
here's the thing. I kind of don't think Volkanovski is that big of a deal outside of the UFC circles.
You don't think
I also don't think that many people think he's going to win.
fair.
And I think those two things really kind of hurt it.
Yeah, it could. I suppose it could.
Even his trainer doesn't seem to think he's going to win. Let's be honest.
I haven't seen any of the embedded yet, but I'm
I
here
started
for it.
watching episode 1, and his trainer just basically is saying, well, Alexander really wanted to move up and test himself, and he's the champ. I got to let him do that.
They're already talking about how tough he's going to be.
That's
and you know what we talk about when the commentators start talking about how tough the fighter is.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
not jump too far ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
How good is he going to look in defeat?
Yeah. Well, let's get there when we talk about it. The first fight of the night, Zubaria Tukugov. I know I fucked that
Oh, are we
name
skipping the
up.
prelims?
This is still the first
This is
prelim.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, versus Elves Brenner. Elves.
Wait, what?
But this
Oh,
is
yeah. Gotcha.
This looks like a can fight to me.
Yeah, I mean, Tugagov is one of the biggest favorites on the
Mhm.
card. I
This
think
is
he's
his
just gonna
debut,
run
is it
through him.
not?
I don't know if it's his debut, but Elvis Brenner definitely is his debut because he's got no stats.
He is the
It
biggest
is
favorite
not.
on the card.
It is not his debut. He's been around for a while. Oh yeah.
Tukagov is the biggest favorite on the card by quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh, and looking at this guy too, having only lost to Hinato Moicano and Joaquim Dawadu, like that's nothing to. That's a tough fight. Good luck, Albez.
Do we put Tukugov on the parlay as like a guarantee, which I have just sealed his fate that he is going to lose? But I'm asking.
I don't think you did.
Do we put who?
Zubaria.
Tukugov, the very
Oh,
first fight.
he's a parlay candidate. He seems like a sure deal.
Okay, I'm gonna mark
Putting
it.
the kibosh on him right now,
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
by saying that.
Nah, no Kinahur is here. We're 100% locked. Don't worry about it. Let's move into the regular prelims on ESPN Plus. Come sponsor the Pretty Neat Podcast, ESPN. We're open. Jamie Malarkey One of my favorite names just to say and
Mhm.
favorite fighters to watch is
Jamie Malaki.
it sounds like he should be from Boston.
He should be from Boston, but he's fucking
He's
Are
Australian.
you doing that because you know I hate that accent?
I had no idea you did.
I
didn't
do.
either. That's
Oh,
funny.
Aaron, you know that about me for
I
sure.
didn't know that you hated Boston accents.
Oh my God, like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, this is news to me.
What sets you off about it?
I hate
What's-
everything about Boston in general.
I hate
everything
about you.
So Jamie Malaki's last loss was to the Tarantula. No real shame there.
No shame.
Jalen Turner's the real deal.
Jalen Turner is a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, we picked Turner in that fight.
Yes, we did.
I didn't, but you guys did.
Because he's so good.
Yeah, I was on a Malarkey high at that moment and missed it. But he is fighting an undefeated Peruvian fighter, Francisco Prado. Is that the Peruvian flag?
That's Argentina.
Thank you. So he's undefeated, and he appears to be making his UFC debut. And he is, because it's just taking me right away from his fighter page.
Yeah. So he has fought his last 4 fights in Samurai Fight House.
Okay, gotcha. What were his methods of victory?
Sub KO, sub KO, KO.
Interesting.
This does not feel like a lock for Jamie Malarkey.
No? Even with the reach advantage?
I don't know.
Don't know.
It would make me very nervous to bet on. That's what I'll say.
Okay. So
Even with
this
the
is
minus
like
260?
Mhm.
my theory, right? Local fighter.
Yeah, fair.
We're gonna give him home field advantage. He's gonna, granted he could crumble, but I'm betting on that they have a boost in their performance because Australians are fairly rabid.
Yeah.
Would you like for me to put Jamie on the parlay?
No.
Okay.
Are you
I
picking?
would not.
Are you picking Jamie in this fight?
I got Jamie in this fight.
Yeah.
With no money, give me Jamie. But
yeah,
for money,
I got
don't
Jamie in fantasy on this one.
Yeah. Being that you picked him in fantasy, I'm making the assumption that you think he gets it done early to maximize your point return.
I was starting to look at his strikes per minute and then combine that with takedown averages. I just think that he could rack up points.
Okay. Yeah.
Not knowing and honestly not knowing anything about Francisco Prado. That's just an assumption based on the data that's presented to me.
Fair
Jamie
enough.
Malarkey has been to decision 3 times in the UFC, and 3 times he has not gone the distance. He has never won. No, that's not true. He won his last fight by decision, split decision. Otherwise, he is a guy who finishes fights. Beat Kama Worthy.
Comma, worthy. Oh, God. I have suddenly developed humor in the style of one Aaron.
Yeah, what are you doing?
That is an Aaron joke for sure. I'm a Boy George fan though, so
There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with Boy George. Boy George is man. I got Jamie Malarkey in this one too, and I also think he gets it done probably within the first or second round. I think it's a TKO. I think it's a ground and pound. Really? Club him. What did we say? Club and dub. Like
Club with no sub.
club, no sub. Thank you. Good fight. We actually skipped the last early prelim, Jack Jenkins versus Don Shanus.
who cares?
Dog Shanus also rhymes with anus.
It does. So Don Anus is going to be jacking it with Jenkins.
AINIS is a more fun way to spell anus anyway. It's
really
more
is.
phonetically appropriate.
Yeah.
Anus.
I got Jack Jenkins in this myself. I think Jenkins is going to get it done.
Sure thing. He's a minus 360 favorite. That's like the third biggest on the card.
Mm-hmm. We're getting to one of the other big favorites, which is Clayton Rodriguez, Brazilian, who's fighting Australian Shannon Ross.
Indeed.
I know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Clayton Rodriguez didn't have an opponent until like today.
I don't recall. Is this?
I feel like his opponent fell out. Clearly, they got some local dude, right? Shannon Ross. Is that his fight history?
He's a Contender Series guy.
Oh, it took me out. We were looking at Cladeson's.
He
Okay.
lost in August of 22.
So this would be his. Yeah, he lost by KO on a Contender Series.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be a situation where the local doesn't really get it done, right? He's coming in on, what, 4 days notice?
Yeah, this is feeder
and
for
Clayton's going to run
Clayton.
through him.
Yeah, this is a feeder for Clayton. But I recall that I think I might remember this Contender Series fight, and there was 1 or 2 fights where somebody got knocked out, but Dana White was like, I wanted both of them. Where like the war was there and that person just happened to lose. But I don't necessarily think this person earned their contract from the Contender Series.
Before we get off this page, what's going on with those toes?
Yeah, I've been looking at them.
What is there like an ad for toes?
There was somebody was doing.
Well, they're gone now.
Toes. Yeah, the toes are gone.
Are you a feet guy?
No. I was just distracted.
Oh, there they are. Go down.
Oh yeah. What you do if you have toenail fungus? Try this
tonight.
I had a moment when I said I go feet guy just now. I had a moment with a coworker the other day who I know pretty well, but not that well.
Okay.
And I made a comment about jokingly being into something or not into something. He goes, "Oh, you're not into that? I am." And he said it so like matter of factly that it gave me the confidence to be like, "Oh no, I actually totally am. I just didn't want to say it out loud until I knew where you guys were at on it."
I needed to know your position on this before I revealed my truth.
But I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Well, you don't like that? You don't like poop play?
I was like, actually, no. I do. Actually, we're good.
We'll know whether or not Clayton is a foot guy if he locks up a toe hold on Saturday. Bringing it back. I think Clayton should be on the parlay myself.
Clayton?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a candidate. I mean, late replacement. There is the unknown factor. Shannon Ross could go in there loosey goosey. He is fucking Australian.
Got nothing
Shannon
to
Ross
lose.
lands 7.15 significant strikes per minute.
Wow. Think that might be a too much for a jiu-jitsu guy?
I don't
is that
know.
what we would call a prohibitive favorite? Like he's so much of a favorite, you just can't pick him because he's going against an unknown quantity.
It definitely makes me nervous. Very like, the prototype for this is, who is the guy that Sean O'Malley beat the fuck out of? Coloring books.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
We forgot his name.
Green hair.
Blue, green. Punching bag.
We'll have to leave it at that.
Well, that guy. He stood the money would have been to bet on Sean to finish him, but Herb Dean was like, nah, that's a human heavyback. So I don't know. MMA fights are weird in that sense as far as gambling goes.
Yeah, that's true. I saw a hilarious meme that was like doing MMA math that proved like some fucking ridiculous
Chris
thing.
Moutinho.
Chris Moutinho. Thank you. I'm not gonna remember. I'll fucking cut that out. Anyway, next fight. Josh Kulabau, Melsik Bogdasarian.
Got to pick him here.
This is a pick 'em. And I have thoughts on this one in that I know Josh Kulabau friggin' brings it. And he hits, he's a brawler. He wants to get in there. He wants to bang. But Melsik is a southpaw, and he has the fucking wackiest grappling. If you recall his last fight, just like super intense grappling heavy. And where is he here? And he can put people down and take them out so hard. It's I remember being very impressed by his grappling last time. Which is actually why I want to pick Melsik.
I mean, it's basically a pick 'em. So
Yeah, it is.
I don't feel too strongly on it, but I mean, he's got a better name, if anything.
I don't really have a strong opinion either way.
No? Well, then we're going to go with Melsick. That's going to be our pick.
Let's go, Milsick.
On the
that
parlay?
is a little bit of a dog. Not on the parlay, but
These are pretty neat picks.
these are just pretty neat picks.
He is actually the slight favorite. No, he's not. Sorry. Well, neither one of them is really the favorite.
Yeah. And really, they can both really fight. I think this will test Josh Kulabau's grappling defense myself. But we shall see. The next fight I look forward to because there's a man with so many cool tattoos and just like looks like he could be Jason Momoa's brother. That being Tyson Pedro is fighting Modestas Bukauskas, which is really fun to say. And this is going to be a war of strikers, and I am looking forward to it a lot.
Now, why do you think he could be
Jason
Jason
Momoa's
Momoa's brother?
Just kind of looks like him.
I don't know.
No,
That's an interesting thing.
Bam Bam's like skinnier, athletic brother.
That's a better comparison. He could
Mhm.
definitely be tied to Ivasa's younger, more attractive, and better shape brother.
That's totally what he's Tyson to Ivasa.
That's a way better comparison. Good job on that. I like Tyson Pedro here. His last fight, you can see the highlights in the top right corner. He went to work quick. Again, though, he was fighting Harry Hunsucker, who is not good at fighting.
Astute observation. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. Mm-mm.
Actually, that fight that we were watching, that wasn't Harry Hunsucker. That was Ike Villanueva that he beat with leg kicks. Now, I like that. I'm a fan of big, meaty Australians that throw heavy, low leg kicks and then just go for a finish 100% of the time. Modestas Bukauskas, I was reading up on him. He is coming back to the UFC for like the first time in 3 years, where he had lost his first 3 fights in the promotion. And then he went regional and picked up some wins, and he's coming back. We're almost tempting fate, right? If you say, well, I like Tyson here, where at some point you would think that Modestas Bukauskas would get a win in the UFC, but he lost via finish to Khalil. He lost to Jimmy Crute via TKO, and then Mikhail Oleksiejczuk.
Those are hard fights.
Split decision. They are hard fights.
He got fed. Yeah.
And then he went whatever seed to Cage Warriors. He went to Cage Warriors and got a UD and then a KO. That must have been a main event round 4. It wasn't for a belt. But again, he's going against a guy in his backyard, so that's tough.
Yeah, and he was on a 7-fight win streak, it looks like, before those 3-fight loss streak, which he did break. And I do see, like, back in his past, the last time he lost, his only other 2 losses were 6 years ago, and they were sequential. So I do kind of think that it comes and goes in waves. This could be the start of something for Modestas, like you said. We might be picking against Tyson a little too early.
He might be on a heater.
Yeah, but I still got Tyson. I with the home field advantage, the crowd behind him. I really like Tyson in this one myself.
I do too. I just like the way he comes in. He's not making any type of question as to what he's trying to do, which is to finish the fight. He's not feeling anybody out. He's going directly for them, and he's throwing with the intent to maim and or injure.
Yep. Speaking of Jimmy Crute, who defeated Modestas Bukauskas a while back, he is the first fight on the pay-per-view main event card of UFC 284. And he's fighting Alonzo Menefield. That is another fantastic
That is
fight.
a banger. But correct me if I'm wrong. Let's go to Jimmy Crute. I think he hasn't fought in at least 2 years,
And
which is interesting.
December 2021.
And it was when Jamal Hill knocked him out cold. Yep.
And
Bricked
he
him in the
lost
face.
through a doctor stoppage to Anthony Smith.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then he beat Modestus, that we talked about. And then he beat Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. And then he lost to Misha Serkinov via sub. I don't know. You know, people that take a longer time off, it's one of two things, right? They're healing up from injuries. Maybe they lost some passion and they're coming back. That's also questionable. It's not a good sign. Or they've been grinding and getting a lot better. I don't know, but I do like what I see from Alonzo Menafield and what he can do in terms of his power. I expect this to be a fucking finish one way or the other. But I'm going with the American here.
With Menafield. Okay. Yeah. How do you think he gets it done?
KO.
Early?
Round 1.
Do you like him on the parlay?
I can see that.
He's parlay eligible.
Yeah. I can absolutely see what you're putting down. I really can.
Jimmy, are you picking it up?
I'm picking it up. I'm smelling what the rock is cooking, one might say. What the rye is cooking. I can see that. Alonzo doesn't get the credit he deserves for keeping his cool, in my opinion. Okay. I don't think that Misha Serkinov win speaks too greatly for him, only because Misha kind of seemed like he kind of was done, right? He kind of seemed like he ran it out over the last 2 years. I don't remember if he retired after this fight, but
I think he did.
Just stays so composed. Jimmy Crute does too, but like if he gets in a brawl, he's okay with getting hit, and you can't do that with somebody who can do what Alonzo Menafield does. And he learned that against Jamal Hill. So unless he didn't learn it, which I guess we're going to find out. Because that's what I see happening to this is Jimmy Crute getting caught rushing in by something short but hard. You know, good hook, maybe an uppercut.
Short but hard.
Yes, just like my wiener.
Wow. I knew you were going there, man.
If I can bring it back. Oh, here we go. The next fight features Ty and Tyson Tuivasa's other brother, Justin Tafa Tuivasa.
Yeah, Justin Tafa's like his half brother.
Yeah, Mark Hunt and him are brothers.
Yeah, he's like Mark Hunt's younger brother.
Yeah, I mean, you can't prove that they're not.
That's a way better comparison. He is Mark Hunt's younger brother who's carrying on that legacy. That's what he does. Parker Porter
is not my favorite guy.
He's not good. But Justin Tafa isn't necessarily like the greatest either. This is going to finish unless somebody whiffs. Because if this goes into the second round, like I'm afraid that this will just turn into the two fat guys trying to hit each other that are super tired and gassed, you know?
Yep. I think Tafa gets this done. I think Tafa is parlay worthy for it. And the reason why is I do think he's going to have the edge in the striking. I think that Tafa should win this by knockout. I think Tafa should win this. Leg kicks, setting it up as well.
Parker Porter lands significantly more per minute, though.
He does, but I think that's why he will gas and go for takedowns more, because Tafa is not necessarily a takedown repellent. And I think
LeBron is 19 points away with 7.5 to go in the second quarter.
Holy crap.
So this thing may go down tonight.
He gonna get it.
He won't?
No, it seems like he probably will.
He gonna get it.
Interesting. I'm going to probably turn that on after the show.
It's on TNT.
No, TNT. Dynamite. Hey, ACDC.
No free shout-outs.
ACDC, I know you're listeners of the Pretty Neat Podcast. We would really love the rights to your song.
They are day ones.
They're day one listeners to the fellowship. We want to do PNP. It's fight night. Come on. All right. Justin Tafa, those who I got, and the reason I got that is I think that if Parker Porter gasses through the second round, that Tafa will probably outstrike him in round 1 and in the beginning of round 2. And then Parker will just hold him down for the rest of the fight, and Justin Tafa will get a split. So, like, I really feel Tafa will win this fight. And that's just me looking at these two guys from their pasts.
They will both not be on the parlay because it's entirely too risky.
Yeah. Heavyweights are so hard to put on any parlay.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe not in certain circumstances. Anyway, the next fight is a great one. Jack Della Maddalena, fun name to say and mess up saying, versus the Jamaican sensation Randy Brown. And another one that's just, this is two guys who are going to headhunt, and they're going to be strategic. They're going to be ready for each other. And I think that this will be a really great, what's the right word? Display of mixed martial arts. I think this is going to go to the ground. I think this will be standing. I think this will be everywhere. I really do think this will be a very exciting fight that I do think will end with a finish too.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Madalena is such a favorite.
Me too.
Randy Brown has won his last 4 fights.
Mm-hmm.
He has a 5-inch reach advantage. He's a little bit more methodical. I do remember that fight against Chaos Williams. I questioned whether or not he won that fight, but it was a very good back and forth, and he definitely brought it to him in the first round and a half.
Yeah.
He beat Alex Oliveira, the other Oliveira.
Cowboy. Yeah, and the other cowboy also.
The other cowboy, yeah. And then Francisco Trinaldo, if I remember correctly, he's a much older fighter, and it wasn't much of a competition. Where Jack Della Maddalena is definitely a rising prospect.
Look at all those first round KO TKOs.
Jack Della Maddalena has not lost a fight since May 28th of 2016.
Damn.
Woo! So do you think he's going to stop Rude Boy?
He's eaten. He could, right? I'm what I just said about Randy Brown, what he does in the first round, and his ability to, put together some striking combinations, and the fact that he has a 5-inch reach advantage, it could go back and forth.
Yeah, I think so. I do think Jack Magdalena gets it done. I don't think he's going to get it done by knockout. At least not in the first round. I don't see a first round knockout in this fight.
No.
It could happen. I mean, he's obviously done it 4 out of his last 5. I probably am silly for doubting it, but Randy Brown has some perseverance behind him, and I'm pulling for him. I am pulling for him.
Yeah, I am too. Honestly, like, oddly enough, I don't know what it is, but I am rooting for him to win.
Yeah,
I get on board with that.
Oh boy, fellas. Moving in to the co-main event, we have the championship fight.
Oh, good Lord.
The interim championship
fight.
Featherweight title fight between Yair Rodriguez, El Pantera, which is weird that they say El Pantera, but I mean, no, it's not. Never mind. And Josh Emmett.
Josh Emmett, he without nickname.
Yeah.
And
right.
Josh Emmett.
El Pantera and Josh Emmett.
The Panther versus Josh Emmett.
Are you leaning any way on this one, Dom? Are you excited about this interim featherweight belt?
I am not excited about this fight. I think Yair's going to win.
Okay.
I also think Yair's going to win, and I would actually put put him in the parlay.
Yeah,
I feel so confidently about it.
Why do you feel so confident about it?
Yair Rodriguez is lightning quick, much faster than Josh Emmett, and he is very dynamic with his kicks. And Josh Emmett is going to rely on his power. And while he is exceedingly tough, and we saw that in his last fight as well, dude, Yair's going to put it on him.
I think so,
My
too.
opinion.
And those knees are going to be troubling for Josh, because Yair throws those knees like not quite as frequently as Yuri Prohaska, and he's much better at hiding them. Like Yuri Prohaska kind of doesn't really set him up. They're like he sets them up, you know. But I think that Yair is so quick and and fluid. That Panther nickname's really fitting for him. I think you're right. I think he's going to pepper him up and probably TKO and end around 3, maybe round 4.
I don't think it's a particularly
I
compelling
could see a
fight.
finish. Yeah, I could see a finish. And I feel like, I don't know if Dom feels the same, but I almost feel like Josh Emmett is getting this based on the accumulation of wins over time that he's had.
Yeah.
Not that he's been overly dominant. And then we also have to take into account that he's been injured.
Yep.
And that win streak has spanned over a long period of time, a la Tony Ferguson. But he's also 37
He is
at 145. Yikes.
Good luck.
And I mean,
man.
he's almost 38.
Yeah. That's not where he wants to be. I'm on board with this, with all of what you're saying. I think that you're spot on that Josh Emmett's got to look for a lunging punch to connect. He's got to get something really far out there, and Yair is so fast, and he's going to pepper him up. Yair has an insane jab, and it's gonna come in here a lot. I think I think Yair's on it, and I do think he's gonna finish it under 4 rounds. For sure. Then we move into the lightweight championship fight, the main event of UFC 284, the fight around which this card was built, as some say. The lightweight champion Islam Makhachev, pound for pound number 2, is fighting pound for pound number 1, the featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski.
Why do they still have Alexander Volkanovski's profile with him with hair?
Right? It's such an old picture. They're seriously.
Why is that?
On the UFC website, he does not really have hair.
They're using a rookie shot on this.
It's like, who are we kidding? Kidding?
Watching some of his rugby like days, like watching some of that, especially in Embedded, and what's the other one? The big one, the 40-minute thing that comes out the week before. What is that? The full-on preview that they release. You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
And then they release segments. They do the individual fights. They cut it up. But sure, watching his rugby, it makes me feel like he's going to be so comfortable in there in any sort of grappling situation. You know, Islam has a lot of subs. I think that Volkanovski will expose himself in some of the scrambles trying to get away, because he does. But man, he survived Ortega. Is Islam just that much bigger and that much stronger, maybe, that a sub from Islam would be better than Ortega? Because I only see Alex winning if he manages to knock him out. If he manages to get in there and connect and put him down just the same way Islam lost his only fight. Just TKO. But I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening myself.
It's not going to happen. Like, the question we should be asking is whether or not Islam Makhachev finishes the fight or if it goes to decision.
So you can get positive odds on under 2.5 rounds.
Huh.
Wow. Positive odds for under 2.5. Okay.
Yeah, plus 121. Which, if with Yair, Menefield, and Tukugov, you parlay that, and it's a plus 979 with just not even picking a winner, just the under 2.5.
I don't know.
Huh. It's hard because I feel like Volkanovski will do better in the later rounds.
I think the longer it goes in Australia, the better Volkanovski's chances are.
Yeah. Like, I do. I can feel like I don't think he'll gas as fast. Islam has not gone anywhere near 5 rounds, and fucking Volkanovski did it damn near twice with Holloway. Like, I feel like Volkanovski has the tank for this fight and the power for this fight. I don't know if the skill for this fight. I do think Islam
Islam?
has far more. Islam has far more tools. He's far more skilled than Alex. Like, all the ingredients are there for Islam to win. But Alex has a couple of those little it factors. Ugh.
So, you know, you're trying to talk yourself into Alex. How does
Yeah.
he win? How does he win the fight?
TKO late.
Right?
Yep.
TKO late? That's how he
TKO
wins?
TKO late. I mean, maybe an early one. I think an early one from Alex would be flukish, but a late
Okay.
one from Alex is survival and roping a dope, which he was doing because he's a higher weight class. He's gonna let Islam grapple and grapple and grapple
No.
for 20 minutes.
Volkanovski is the lower weight class.
I know. I think he has a deeper tank. I think Volkanovski has a deeper tank than Makhachev. Cuts less weight. Carries less weight. Won't have as many
Yeah.
muscles to fill. I think the later it goes, if he can stay aggressive, he can be equally as violent in the 5th round as he can in the 1st. And I don't know that about Islam Makhachev. So it's weird. It's
To
a
me,
weird
this
fight.
is either Islam just runs through him, which
That's
he
what I
did-
think it should
which he did to Charles Oliveira,
He did.
Mm-hmm.
or it's Gilbert Burns Hamzat, where everyone is kind of like, oh, that's right, Alexander Volkanovski is a really, really good fighter, even if Makhachev still ends up winning. Like, there's a path to Volkanovski losing, but not really losing any stock because he's going up in weight, right? So
Yeah, he's not the one risking anything.
no, he's not risking anything.
Yeah.
For the record, just taking Makhachev to win on the parlay puts it at plus 505 with Yair, Menafield, and Zubaria.
We're doing a 4-fight parlay.
We could.
Lock me in at that plus 505.
Why not? That's not too
So
bad.
shall it be written?
It shall be done.
So what's our parlay? Chukagov,
Yep. Alonzo
Menafield.
Menafield, Yair Rodriguez, and Islam Makhachev.
I feel
I
good
don't
about
hate
that.
it.
I feel pretty good about that myself.
It's 3 favorites and a slight underdog.
Yeah, I like that. I do like that a lot. So the PNP parlay: Chukagov, Alonzo Menafield, Yair Rodriguez, Islam Makhachev, plus 505. You said. So if you place that and you lose, well, you should have listened to the rest of this podcast, and we would have told you that would happen.
That's right.
But if you get that and you win, you're welcome. Tell all your friends that you heard about it on the Pretty Neat podcast. Send them our way. This one, this fight, I gotta watch it. There's so much fun and so many implications behind it, and it's a good one. It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Dom,
Yes.
before we do the closeout stuff, let's talk about Tough.
Okay.
Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor. They're coming back, and then they're gonna fight. Initial thoughts.
My initial and only thought is that, and I don't think you guys will disagree, is this is exactly what Tough needs. You really could not make a better start as far as how the show is going to be structured. Connor is the biggest star they have. Michael Chandler in MMA circles is well known, and he's kind of starting to branch out a little bit. They're both good personalities, you know, kind of
Yeah.
the face and the heel, so to speak. In a lot of ways, it's kind of loser leaves town, or or in a sense, I mean, Connor, he's bigger than his fights, and Chandler has lost, but and I've said this a million times, but it's true. You run the simulations of his fights 100 times, and he's going to win just as many as he loses. It just so happens that a couple times it's come up a loss for him. Against Poirier, against Gaethje, and against Oliveira, there were moments where he could have and almost did win those fights. It's not like Tony Ferguson, who's been losing and is not looked competitive. Chandler's been very competitive. Connor needs a good showing.
Yeah, he does.
Right. We haven't seen good Conor McGregor really since Cowboy, but even then, I don't know.
It's a washed Cowboy.
So that win doesn't look so good. Maybe in hindsight, maybe it's the Eddie Alvarez win, which that was 2016. So
crazy that was almost 6 years ago.
Connor's a lot of fun, right? He's gonna bring the show aspect of it. When I told my wife, she was like, "Oh, cool! I love watching Connor." And she doesn't know that his last good performance was 7 years ago at this point. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that was his last title fight win.
Yep.
It's the only way you can, to your point, Dom, that you could bring back Tough and have people that have been watching MMA be like, yeah, I could probably do a season of that. If you were to do like two other random guys, even if they were competitive, you're like, I can't be bothered, right? Just let me know when they're actually going to fight, and I'll tune in.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you're like,
that could be fun.
You don't know what to expect from Connor, and he's very competitive, and we know what Michael Chandler has brought since he's come to the UFC. That's intriguing. So I'm excited. I'm excited for some discourse around it.
Yeah.
Do you have any initial takes on their fight?
So I think you had been the one to say that Connor is stylistically a nightmare for Chandler, just based on his ability to counter strike. I tend to agree with you.
Yep.
However, if Connor does not finish that in round one, I am concerned on whether or not he can win that fight.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that it's nice to see them back on Tough for all the reasons you said. Like, it's what Tough needs to re-engage an audience of former watchers and potentially new ones.
Yeah.
The last good season of Tough I can really think of was McGregor Favor. I can't really recall any in between there. And I'm also extra excited because of the intel that Roxanne Modafferi gave us, which is that the coaches are training. It's their camp too. Like, McGregor and Chandler are going to be in camp for each other during the filming of this show. And because it's so prolonged to they're starting the show in May and the fight's going to be in like August, we'll kind of get a look at how their mentalities are shifting while they're in camp, while they're seeing each other while they're in camp. I like the opportunity to see that, or at least putting it in the back of my mind. Like, if Chandler's like super friggin' devoted to these fighters, I'm gonna be worried about how his devotion to his camp. If he's,
I don't think he has the ability to not like be super dedicated to being physically fit.
Yeah, that is true. When you look at the guy in his gym too,
I know, honestly, like, this fight will be at 170. They haven't. I don't think they've confirmed that yet, but
I believe they have.
They have. Okay.
I think so.
So at 170, and Chandler has already said, "Hey, to make 155 takes like precise preparation for me to get there, and then I'm not going to make it." So for him, he may have, God, this goes back to what I said about Connor not finishing in the first round. He may have way better cardio and stamina and be able to take a shot because he's not cutting a ton of weight, and he's got more fluid around his brain.
Yeah. Damn. Ugh. It could get good. It could get good. And if that goes into the later rounds also, like, that I think is good for Connor, because I guess we don't know because we haven't seen how friggin' big he got. But like, of those two guys, when I look at them side by side, I see Chandler gassing first because I watched him gas in the second round multiple times already.
At
Who,
155.
Chandler?
At 155.
Not at 170. Who knows? He may be like going in there. He's fucking 5'6". So, 170 is not the weight class for him, long term, but he could go in there against a guy like Connor, who also has fought at 145, pre Mexican supplements. And go in there and be really competitive.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be fun. That I'm excited about it. I'm excited about Tough coming back with that backdrop.
Me too.
Fun things. Wasn't there something else you wanted to mention, Dom?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Well, I feel pretty good about our 284 picks.
Me too.
Feel pretty good about our parlay.
284, 2024.
Yeah, you know why I love MMA so much? It's pretty neat. That is 100% true, but it's also because it brings us together.